Sup traders? Oh man, I'm excited for this video. It's gonna be really good. I'm gonna cover essentially how I lost my edge, which is helping me get it back, and also will help me to prevent this from ever happening again. So, if you had told me at the end of the year, last year, that this year I would be trading unprofitable setups, I'd have a 25% drawdown, I'd lose all my confidence, coming from making so much money, trading super well, having really good setups, being super disciplined, and being super confident, I would be like, how, right? How would that happen? So it's a good question. How has that happened? And what I'm going to do is kind of map out an account of my trading journey. And this is important, again, because it's going to maybe relate to it, but it's going to help me not do the same thing, help me not go through the same thing ever again. And as it's happened and happening, I felt very confused. Like, is my subconscious self-sabotaging myself? Do I not really love myself? Do I not really want to make the money? And I don't think that's true. It seems like I made some logical fallacies with not enough data or incorrect data that made sense at the time, and one thing led to another, and it led me down an unprofitable path, but it's simple enough to get back, and is preventable. And a lot of it is just inexperience, as we'll get to. Like, I'm an inexperienced trader, so just because I'm profitable, I can become a different person and trade differently if I'm triggered in life, or if I'm just, in this case, there was definitely emotional components, there was definitely psychological components, for sure, but a lot of it was logical fallacy as a result of inexperience and incomplete data. So this is going to help me not repeat this. So I want to start with where I was, which was profitability. I achieved profitability. I would say I was consistently profitable. I had a 4-month period where I was consistently profitable. That's impressive. That's hard to do. And not just consistently profitable, but I grew my account by 30%. It was great. And I was trading a predictive sweep setup. There are 2 variants of the predictive sweep. I'm just going to lump them into the same, but I have 2 setups that are extremely similar, and this is how I achieved my initial profitability. Is I back tested these and I forward tested them, and in my trading data they're profitable. And this is what's been extremely helpful, is not just keeping track of all my trading records with a lot of information, but also having a trading journal, like a journal, side by side. So I was able to go back in the past months and looked at what I was thinking going into the month, and the decisions that I made, the conscious decisions I made, and why I made them, and where I went wrong. And a lot of it was I was wrong. I had incomplete data, and it made sense at the time, but it was wrong. So this is where I was. I was profitable. I was trading this predictive sweep, which is I was looking for areas where major liquidations would occur, and I would set my limit order right below there, or right above there, right beyond there. So I would buy traders sell stops, and I would sell traders buy stops, and it would only get maybe 8 entries a month per asset, maybe win 4, lose 3, break even 1, but average, like, if executed well, 5R, 6R per. So really, really good. Just didn't trade that much, which I didn't like, but I was okay with it. Also, it was really easy to trade. So I made errors trading this, but I was still profitable. So my live trades sometimes matched or even exceeded backtesting, but usually weren't much worse. Now, I don't have that much data. I have those 4 months, but 4 months is pretty good, where it's like backtesting and live testing matches it. So Now, during this time, one thing that started to send me in the wrong direction was I ICT. So his setup, I started trading his setup, which I called Inside Sweep, his 2022 model, where I'm going to call it Inside Sweep in this model, but it's also ICT 2022. You wait for the sweep, and then you enter into retracement on that sweep. So for me, that was a way like, okay, it seems like another good setup. Instead of predicting that price is going to reverse here, I can predict that instead of predicting there's going to be a top or bottom here, I can predict that was the top or bottom. Since I can go in on a lower time frame, I can have a tighter invalidation, and I can have a higher risk reward and maybe a better win rate. And not only did it backtest well, but my initial trading went well. So I started trading this inside sweep setup. Okay. I think one of my first trades with it was a 6R in a day. So I was like, this is pretty good. So then to start the new year, we had the New Year rally. So the New Year rally, this started me in the wrong direction. So the inside sweep entry model would have gotten a decent entry for the New Year's rally. My predictive sweep did not get me an entry for the New Year's rally and had me counter trading it. It wasn't so bad, okay? It wasn't so bad. I counter traded it. I took maybe 4 or 5 straight losses, and I missed a 30% move. However, it tilted me quite a bit, because if I had held my inside sweep on for that 30% move, I would have made $400,000, $500,000. Like would have been crazy. It would have been 100 RR, and that trade really frustrated me, or missing the move, and the fact that my system counter traded it. I didn't like it, and I knew this in back testing, that this system would not always catch the move, especially when markets trend for an extended period of time. If I wasn't able to hold on to the initial entry, I'd have a hard time getting in. And it's true that I needed a better way of identifying when price was likely to trend, and also ways to get in there. So that is true. So it's like, man, my system didn't work, and but inside sweep would have. So I'm going to focus on inside sweep, because these are really similar. This one I'm predicting a sweep, this one I'm waiting for a sweep, and then I'm going to trade it. So let me focus on inside sweep. And in my journal, there's 2 entries at the end of January, and in January, say I'm going to focus on inside sweep. I'm going to retire predictive sweep. They are correlated. They're the same. This one is, I think this one's better. It would have caught the bottom better. It has higher risk reward. It backtests well. It has live tested well so far. The only reason it hasn't live tested better is because I haven't done a good job of holding the trades as long. I haven't traded it as well. So from the New Year's rally, I made the decision to focus on inside sweep, right? That was a fine decision at the time with the information that I had, but this was inexperience. I knew from back testing that, again, there's times my system wouldn't catch a move, and every system is like that. Every system has flaws, every system has seasons, every system has drawdowns, and I knew that in back testing, but I wasn't really prepared to go through it in real time. Like, I went through drawdowns, but it always felt like my fault. But this one felt like the system's fault. Like, the system was flawed. And it was flawed for that, but it doesn't matter. It's one trade, it's one move. If I had stuck with it, it would have immediately gone back to profitability. It would have caught the next leg up, it would have caught the top, it would have caught the next bottom, it would have caught the next top, it would have caught the next bottom, it would have caught the next top, then it just would have been really good. It would have been a slow, like not that many trades, but it would have done super well. But I didn't get to that. So in my inexperience, if I had traded it for 2 years and it's like, well, it didn't work this month, I wouldn't abandon it, right? It's just because I have not had enough experience, and I thought that this was going to be good. Now, the reality, later, the data on this looked good. The reality is inside sweep has been hugely unprofitable for me. It's been hugely unprofitable. It's worked a couple times, especially on higher time frames. For the 1 hours, it works on 1 hour. If I filter out and only look at 1 hour retracements and 4 hour, it's okay. But overall, lumped them all together, it's been hugely unprofitable. Why has it been hugely unprofitable? So a couple reasons. The first is from a system perspective, I just don't think it's as good. Like, you're not getting as good entries if you're waiting for the reversal to happen. Often you're just not getting nearly as good an entry, so it's a lot more likely to get stopped out. And also, like, if I'm trying to enter on a retracement, there's not really a good reason for price to retrace if the sweep has already happened, right? Like, when sellers and buyers are forced to move price to an area and you limit enter, and now it's moving away, there's no reason it needs to come back to that. If it does, it might just keep going, right? So this is a problem where a lot of the times with the inside sweeps, you do not get filled. The predictive sweeps, you also sometimes don't get filled. But here, it's more likely if you don't get filled, it's going to knock you out. It's going to come back and stop me out. Another reason why inside sweep has not been particularly good, and by the way, inside sweep actually, yeah, the initial data on inside sweep was good. That's a lot of the problem. Problem with inside sweep as well is that it's hard to execute, and it's hard to execute because it's a little bit more reactive. When you're predicting, this is a high time frame zone where price is likely to reverse. I'm just going to set a limit order in there with a wide stop. You don't need to respond or be on call. Like, you can really check once a day. You can check at any time. You can set an order several days in advance as price is moving towards the zone, and that's how I was doing it. But with an inside sweep, soon as that sweep happens, now you need to set an order. So you have to be more vigilant, you have to be more alert, you have to be more aware, you have to be more precise, you have to be more reactive, and that introduces a lot of errors. And I made a lot of errors trading inside sweep. And I looked at those errors over the month of January, and I thought, here's another logical mistake. I'm unprofitable because I'm making trading errors with this trading method. And that is true. If I spent more time and I traded it perfectly, it would have positive expectancy. But the difficulty of a trading system is a feature of the trading system. This system is easy to trade. I made errors with this, I was still profitable. This system is hard to trade. I'm making errors with it, it's unprofitable, and I'm going to make more errors with it because it's hard to trade, right? So, inside sweep's not working for me. I'm having a bad January, and I'm thinking, well, let me try something else. So there was a Sunday at the end of January where there was a big storm. Everything was canceled. It was dumping rain outside, and I said, it's been a while since I've done this. Why don't I day trade today? Okay, let me sort of day trade. So what I did was I traded a swing failure pattern, which is where at the market, as price passes my level, enters my level, and starts to come back, I just market enter right there. And what happened, I did a couple add-ons. I made 15 times my risk in a day. And I risked 1,000 and I made $15,000. So I was like, this is crack. Man, I was wrong. This works super good. This is it, right? This is amazing. I'm gonna trade swing failures. Logically, right, the data looked great. What are the odds my first try would be this, right? The data looked really good. So, what ended up happening, and I didn't know this because I didn't have the data, was February trading swing failures was hugely unprofitable. So swing failures have an even worse problem of difficulty to trade than inside sweep. It's something that if you trade perfectly, you could do well, but you need to be there at the 1 minute, right? You cannot limit catch these. you cannot catch these in the market like you can on the limit without being there and reacting on the 1 minute. So much can go wrong. It requires so much vigilance, so much focus. So I'm trying these setups that are really intensive and attentive, and as this is happening, this is where psychologically I'm becoming addicted to trading, where I'm like waking up, going to sleep, I'm looking at these dopamine, overtrading, losses, maybe unrealized P&L losses, addiction, and but logically, like Inside Sweep had good stats, SFP has good stats. Well, they have bad stats because they're hard to trade, and also a lot of they're hard to trade, but they're hard to trade, and you just don't get as good entries. This one is advantaged. So now coming into March, I'm thinking, well, I should think about going back to what worked. And I started and I took a loss, and I think I continued with Inside Sweep, and I traded breakouts and breakdowns. So these trendline breaks, going back to the New Year's rally, that would have been a way to save me, or at least get me on the right track. When the daily starts to break these major trend lines, I can enter in the direction of the trend towards major untapped liquidity. That's actually a good setup. And I haven't traded that much. I've been slightly negative, like close to break even, but slightly negative. And I actually think it's a decent setup and something to have in my toolkit as a way to make more money. And the idea is this setup, I'm buying liquidations that are occurring currently. This setup I'm trying to buy after liquidations occur. And this setup, I'm trying to buy it as liquidations are occurring with reflexes. Breakdown, breakout, I'm buying right before liquidations are going to occur. I'm selling right before they're going to occur. So I'm selling into the forced sellers. I'm buying into the forced buyers. So I think that's an okay setup, but it's not as good as these, and this is a distraction. So now I'm struggling so much that I'm thinking, well, let me work on trading algorithms. And I got invited to a group. I was working on trading algorithms with a couple different people. The problem with trading algorithms is they need to be quite simple generally for the logic and to be programmable. So I came up with a trading algo, and I was playing around with a couple, and back tested. It seems to have some edge, and it's easy to trade. So I said, why don't I make this my system and trade this? And again, it's not really that easy to execute, and it's just some systems don't live test like they back test. Some systems do live test like they back test because they're easy to trade, or it's easy to replicate the results. So in April, I was trading this daily chart system, which was similar to what I was doing back here, but also ended up being unprofitable. And again, I made errors, but like trading errors, like I should be able to make errors and still be profitable. When I was profitable, I made plenty of errors, right? So now here I am. I've woken up on May 5, May 10, May 11, 4.5 months into the year, and I'm down 60,000 from my peak at the end of the year. I've had 4 straight unprofitable months. I haven't traded my main predictive sweep setup since November. I haven't put on a trade since November. This year, the second variant of it, I've only put on a couple trades this year. And instead I've traded a bunch of this, which is unprofitable. I've traded a bunch of this, which is unprofitable. And I've traded a bunch of this, which has been slightly unprofitable, not so good. And then I traded this, and I'm like, let me just go back to this. Is it hard to do? No, it's not hard to do. It's like, I I didn't realize it took me, it wasn't necessarily so much an emotional journey. It was incomplete data, incorrect data, thinking this was good, it's not. Incorrect data, thinking this was good, it's not. And yeah, not understanding the reality, having inexperience of not trading through system drawdowns, having traded through error drawdowns, but system drawdowns. And yeah, it was gonna work, and it was gonna work well, and all I had to do was stick with it. So I'm back, and I'm doing this again, and I think I might do a little bit of this. I'm definitely not doing this. There's certain other setups that might come up. So I want to look at the data. I think inside sweep is a retracement to 1 hour gaps, might have, with wide stops, might have worked okay. Any kind of lower time frame definitely did not work, worked really poorly. But generally it's just not as good a setup, and if I trade well with this, I'm already in a trade, I don't need to add on here. So yeah, that is my journey. It's, yeah, I mean, I'm glad I haven't blown up. I'm glad I have plenty of capital, and I'm ready to get back to it. I put on a trade at predictive sweep yesterday, and it filled today with a perfect fucking entry immediately, wildly in my favor. Great. That's what I want to see. So whether that trade works or not, because I set it to break even, but it's a good sign. And yeah, I thought these were good, but yeah, and I guess this is an example of the difficulty of dealing with uncertainties and probabilities, because what happened is I got punished doing the right thing and I got rewarded doing the wrong thing, and it took me months to figure that out. It took me a really long time to figure out this is absolute garbage, for me at least, because I got rewarded so heavily when I first tried it. Same thing for this. These overall are not good for me, but they didn't work. They did work initially. And then this, it just didn't work one time, and I wasn't prepared for that. So I'm prepared now. If it doesn't work, then there's no reason for it to stop working too, because the high time frame thesis is so good of just buying from forced sellers and selling from forced buyers. What happened is there was just so many market buyers coming in that there was forced selling and market buying and more market buying and more forced selling and more market buying, and buying from forced sellers was not a good call during that time, but that's more rare than what normally happens. So yeah, is what it is, and I'm actually quite happy to be here now, coming back to these profitable setups, having put them on and getting good results already. So that's the game plan. Much love, peace, and let's get them.